Welcome back to the Heavy Purse. We're kicking off a new topic this month, and it's going to be creating a great financial foundation. It is very important for all of us to teach our children what a good financial foundation looks like. And for most of us, that means we need to create one for ourselves and be good examples for our children. What is a financial foundation? To me, when I'm working with people and their money, is making sure that number one, they've got enough cash for an emergency or for an opportunity. Number two, that they've minimized consumer debt, that they're not so overrun with consumer debt on a monthly basis that is preventing them from saving and doing other things. Number three is making sure that they have the proper coverage, health insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, meaning that if they can't self-insure, that if something happens, or should I say when something happens, life is very unpredictable, that their entire financial foundation doesn't fall apart on one emergency. For many of us, this is a concept that we are aware of, but we've really never understood how to build a financial foundation. And if somebody had taught us how to do that at an early age, and we never got into the consumer debt, or we always had a proper cash reserve, and we really understood our cost of living so we knew what we actually needed, boy, we would have had a good start in life. That's what I'm going to teach you this month for you and to teach your children. First concept that I want you to think about this week, and we'll build on it next week. Number one, you need to understand what it costs you to live. We're all different. We all have different levels of expenses. Our mortgages, our rent, our car payments, food, utilities, our necessary monthly expenses. We also have discretionary expenses, what we spend on the movies or what we spend on travel or on clothes on a weekly and a monthly basis is going to be different for every single person. To start understanding what you need as a foundation, you need to understand what your monthly net is. So your job this week is to really clarify for you and for your family, what are you spending on a monthly basis? I get it. Again, like when we talked about setting goals, sometimes quantifying these things, or the bad word budget, which you really won't hear me use very much, because it really has a negative connotation. I'm not asking you to budget. I'm asking you to look at what you're actually spending, because I'll tell you where we're going. Where we're going is that how much do you need in a cash reserve? How do you create a foundation? It depends on what you're spending. So your goal this week is to take a look at what you're spending on a monthly basis. One of the areas that I find the easiest to do that is if you're spending everything out of a checking account. So let's say you're using a credit card, you're charging that, but you're paying the credit card out of a certain checking account. It's really easy to take an entire year, take 2018, and look at that checking account, every month, what went in and what went out. Often I hear people say, well, gosh, it's not a good example because this month we had a trip, or this month we had an emergency, I had to fix the car, or, it was the holidays and I had more expenses. Guess what? That's going to happen every year. So if you take your annual amount, if you take a look month by month in your checking account, if that's where you're doing all of your spending, you're going to get a really good understanding, whether you like it or not, of truly what your monthly expenses, both discretionary and your core expenses are. That is where you need to start creating your financial foundation, is the knowledge of actually what you need every month. Next week, we're going to dive into, once you've got that number, what's the next step? And how can you help your children do this? I am a financial advisor, but I'm not your financial advisor. Please note that any advice that I give you on this is strictly for informational purposes only. I don't know your personal situation. Have a great week. Talk to you next week.